G'day and welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be my experience and a little bit of a vlog style video about my trip to Urban Surf in Sydney. And I had the pleasure of going to Urban Surf last week. I'm going to share my experiences in this video, what I thought, what board I was riding. You're going to see a little bit of footage and overall going to give my thoughts and perspectives on Urban Surf, and I'd really like to hear back from some of you guys. So before we start this video and get into it, if you could like and subscribe, that would be amazing. So I went to Urban Surf in Sydney. Now I booked the intermediate right, and if I'm spending $108, I'm gonna do a right because I'm a regular footed surfer. My dad's goofy, so the lefts are his special. But for me, if I'm spending that amount of money, I'm gonna want to surf a right. And yeah, it was really fun. I've never been to Urban Surf before, my first time, but in terms of my experience, I would highly recommend. The waves were great, great size for an intermediate level. I'd probably go, if I'm going next time, I would go the advanced or expert waves. From what I understand, the expert waves are a little bit less steep. Entry is a little bit more flowing. I've noticed in the intermediate, it was slightly steeper than what I'd expected. I went to the 10 a.m. session. Being the middle of January in Sydney, especially in Australia, it is quite hot. So I think the water temperature was 25 degrees when I went, which is quite warm for surfing weather. I was wearing a full body steamer. Would definitely recommend board shorts and a rash vest, only because I was sweating on the paddle out. In total, I got 14 waves, which is quite average. I think you're guaranteed maybe 12, so a little bit better than average. The first 3 waves, I absolutely stuffed big time. You've seen the video. I was diving for lobster in a couple of those first couple waves. I think I definitely got the hang of it after the fourth or fifth wave, which is, I mean, a big portion of the session wasted. But again, first time going there, so wasn't too stressed. I was more just trying to get the hang of it, get the timing of the wave, figure out where the wave's breaking. Then halfway through the session, they actually ramp up the wave height. So I think with Urban Surf, the way it works is if you do an intermediate session, half of the session will be intermediate, and then the other half of the session will be what the waves would be like if you're in the session higher. So it'll be half of the advanced session. So you're getting a little bit of a taste of what it's like to be in the session above, which is really good. The one disadvantage or negative that that I found to be not the best is obviously Urban Surf is not a cheap exercise by any means. Surfing in general isn't a cheap sport, especially when you're going through, $300-400 wetsuits, $1,000 surfboards, traveling to get to the surf. I mean, it's not the cheapest, but it's not the most expensive. But for a 1 hour session being anywhere from $110 to $115, $20, it's not cheap by any means. And at Urban Surf Sydney, you do have to pay for parking. So I believe they give you 2 hours free if you validate your ticket. The only disadvantage being you have to be there 45 minutes before your session. So if you're there 45 minutes before your session and your session's an hour, by the time you get out of the water, get changed, dry off and maybe have a shower, you're probably going to go above, well, you're definitely going above 2 hours. So I think we paid like $7 in parking if you're going for one session. I mean, if I'm going again, I'd like to do maybe a back-to-back session or do at least 2 sessions. I mean, an hour for surfing is not usually what I'd do. I'd usually be in the water for anywhere from 2 to 3, maybe 4 hours at a time. So that's one thing I did notice. The other thing is people that have been to urban surf, either in Sydney or Melbourne, will know that you get your little wristband, which has your, I guess, little tag or sensor inside that you can use to enter and exit the wave park. When you go, make sure you don't lose that if you plan to be going back to urban surf. Otherwise you will have to pay, I think it's $5 for a new wristband. So when you get home, don't throw that wristband in a bucket or throw it away. Put it somewhere on your desk, somewhere on your bedside table where you'll be able to find that for next time you go. Otherwise you'll be forking out $5, which isn't a lot of money, but for a wristband, it's quite silly. So yeah, other than that, my experience was great. I think in general, wave parks are an excellent resource for beginners to learn how to surf. It takes away the fear of the ocean, sharks, anything unknown. There's also no rips. Consistency of wave is 100% the same every time you go. So especially if you are a beginner and you are considering going to urban surf, even considering doing like a 5-week program, which I think they run, I would recommend doing that. That to me sounds like a great tool. Putting cost aside, if you're really keen to learn how to surf and maybe you are on a bit of a time frame to learn how to surf, then I'd definitely recommend doing some sort of program at urban surf or any wave park. Just being able to have the consistency of the same wave every time you go, being able to have the opportunity to purchase, download and re-watch all of your surfing footage so you can self-analyze, to me just makes complete sense. For advanced guys, it's even more beneficial. You get to practice your barrel riding skills, your turns, try new things on new boards. I'm specifically more of a longboard type of rider, so I think the next time I'm going to urban surf, I'd love to try out a shortboard and try some new things. So I think that's also really good. Now, like in a lot of my videos, I do all my filming, unless it's on a drone of course, on my GoPro Hero 10, which is what I'm using to record this on. So my GoPro goes with me pretty much anywhere. Now, while I was at urban surf, I was using my GoPro bite mount with the floaty case. So you might see some of the footage there. I wasn't too happy with the footage on the GoPro, only because POV footage is what it is, in the sense that there's only so much POV footage you can really watch or look at until you get bored. Especially on GoPro, a lot of the waves look a lot smaller than what they are, and I think that the angle is just a little bit boring after a while. So you won't see too much POV footage, but you will see a lot of footage recorded by urban surf. In terms of the board I was riding, I was a little bit nervous to take a fiberglass board out, only because it is a concrete bottom, and I have heard stories of people damaging or cracking boards just by little silly mistakes, especially on the more advanced sessions where the waves are a little bit heavier and you know, a little bit rougher. But this session I was riding my foamy, which is 8'2". It is a very, very thick board, coming in at just over 100 liters. So by no means was I struggling to catch any waves. I made pretty much every wave, definitely in the flotation department wasn't lacking at all. But there were a couple of shortboarders in my session who were missing waves unnecessarily. I think in that environment, when you're paying over $100 in a wave park, and this is my opinion, I think there's no reason that you should be missing any waves in an environment that's that controlled. Bit of a silly mistake to be missing waves. I can understand falling off, but to be able to not get on the wave completely and then have you're basically stuffing up the lineup behind you, I'd recommend anyone for the first time, if you're gonna go to Urban Surf, make sure you're on a board that you feel comfortable on, and a board that is the right size for you. So don't go really short unless you're comfortable on a short board, only because you're paying for the session. You want to be there to catch as many waves as you can. You also don't want to stuff up any of the surfers behind you. There was a couple of people in my session that were just missing like waves in a row, like they've missed maybe 3 or 4 waves in a row, which is 3 or 4 waves too many when you're paying almost $10 for a wave. Yeah, that's just something to be aware of. But in general, my time at Urban Surf was amazing. The facilities only, I mean, being at a place that's not even a year old, the facilities were amazing. Clean showers, lots of lockers, lots of shade as well. They had a really nice bar and I think like a cafe section. I didn't get food or drink, but I had a peek in. Really clean. Again, a lot of parking, which is good. The only thing is you just have to pay for it. But other than that, it was great. I'm going to be going again, hopefully doing the advanced session. So I get a bit of a taste of what it's like to barrel ride. And I'm hoping in the next video, I'll have a new mid-length board. I'll do a bit of a shorter video on that when I get that, but I'm hoping to get a 7.6. I'll keep the brand and the model hidden for now, but you'll see it in the next couple of weeks if I get it. But yeah, other than that, I think Urban Surf is something that every surfer should experience at least once, and I'd highly recommend going. Yeah.